What's a weird quirk that turned out to be a horrible secret? My roommate literally never slept. Living with Ethan was pretty normal, except for one thing. In 6 months of sharing an apartment, I'd never once seen him sleep. His bedroom light stayed on all night. I'd hear him moving around at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. When I left for my morning shift at the hospital at 6, he'd already be in the kitchen, fully dressed, making coffee like he'd been up for hours. "Don't you ever sleep?" I asked once, half joking. "I get enough," he'd said, not meeting my eyes. I worked 12-hour shifts as an ER nurse, so I figured I just missed his sleep schedule. Maybe he napped while I was gone. But then I started noticing other things. He never yawned, never looked tired. The strangest part was his room. One night, I'd gotten up for water and noticed a soft blue glow seeping under his door. Not the warm yellow of a bedside lamp, but the cold flicker of a screen. Multiple screens, judging by the shifting patterns of light. I could hear him talking in low, urgent tones, but not in English. The words were gentle, almost like a lullaby, but there was something desperate in his voice that made me pause in the hallway. When I accidentally knocked against the wall, the talking stopped immediately. The next morning, he acted like nothing had happened, but I caught him watching me with this haunted look, like he was carrying the weight of the world behind those sleepless eyes. My coworker friend Aisha thought he was on drugs. "Nobody stays awake like that naturally," she said. But Ethan didn't have any of the signs. No jitters, no mood swings, no paranoia, just this eerie alertness like he was permanently switched on. The only time I'd seen him show any emotion was when his phone buzzed, not rang, just buzzed with notifications. He'd drop whatever he was doing and lunge for it like his life depended on it. Once he'd been in the shower when it went off, and he'd burst out dripping wet, barely wrapped in a towel, eyes wild with panic. When he saw it was just a spam text, he'd slumped against the wall and stayed there for a full minute, just breathing. "Sorry," he'd muttered, disappearing back into the bathroom. But he never explained what he was waiting for, what call or message could possibly matter that much. Then came the night that changed everything. I'd worked a brutal shift. I crashed hard when I got home. I woke to the sound of crying. Not normal crying. This was primal, desperate sobbing that made my chest tight. It was coming from Ethan's room. My blood went cold. There was a child in Ethan's room. Long silence. Then the lock clicked. I pushed the door open and froze. Ethan sat on his bed, alone, but his laptop was open, showing a Skype call. On the screen was a hospital room. In the bed was a boy, maybe 7 years old, hooked up to more machines than I'd seen on most of my adult patients. "This is my son," Ethan said quietly. "He's in Brisbane Children's Hospital." Ethan's voice was hollow. "Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Stage 4. The pieces started clicking. "The time difference, 16 hours. Ethan nodded. "When it's night here, it's day there." I looked at the screen. Jamie was thin, pale, but smiling. "Are you a doctor too?" he asked me. "I'm a nurse," I said, sitting down next to Ethan. "Cool. I know lots of nurses. Nurse Kelly says I'm her favorite patient, but don't tell the other kids." "What's his prognosis?" 30% chance with this treatment, up from 10% without it. Multiple jobs, freelance work, everything funneling to Brisbane Children's Hospital. I sleep in 2-hour chunks when he's in treatment. Power naps at lunch. Caffeine and terror keep me going. Why terror? Because if I really sleep, I might miss a call. What if something happens and I'm not there? What if he needs me and I'm unconscious? His hands shook. He's already lost his mom. He can't lose me too, even if I'm just a face on a screen. 6 months later, Ethan's phone rang outside the normal schedule. His face went white as he answered. I held my breath. Then he collapsed, sobbing. I prepared for the worst until I heard the doctor's words through the speaker. "Complete remission. The scans are clear. We got it all." Jamie came on screen, bald head shining. The biggest smile I'd ever seen.